A gospel legend is dead. Next. Welcome to the Stan Simpson Show, a program about Connecticut people and compelling issues. Make it a point to drop in every week. The gospel world is mourning the death of Bridgeport Bishop Kenneth Moles, a major gospel producer, singer, and pastor. Bishop Moles was a national leader of the Pentecostal church and a mentor to many in the gospel music industry. He is an inductee, folks, of the International Gospel Music Hall of Fame. Today, our entertainment attorney, James Walker, talks about the life and influence of Bishop Moles. Then we'll wrap things up with some sports chatter. Scott Gray from WTIC AM Radio joins us for one of our regular chats. Football, baseball, and the Ryder Cup are on the agenda. But first, a gospel legend is mourned. The author of this business of urban music, James Walker. Always good to have you back. A regular contributor. Good to see you here.
Good to see you, sir.
This was a big deal. I'm being very honest now. This was a big deal. I hadn't heard of Moles. Did some homework and realized, wow, this is an icon in the gospel industry. And right here in Bridgeport are his roots.
Right here in Bridgeport. When he died about a week ago, it shook the whole country. You were getting emails, text messages. Twitter said he was a high hit on Twitter.
Why?
Because, I mean, the man is arguably the James Cleveland or the Thomas Dorsey of this generation. And what I mean by that is those are icons in the gospel music industry, James Cleveland, Thomas Dorsey. And this man mentored Hezekiah Walker, Donald Lawrence, Stanley Brown. Stan does Sunday Best now. Donald and Hez are Grammy winners. I mean, you can go down the list of the people he's mentored worldwide, and he was just clearly a big success.
Now, you knew him personally. He's from Bridgeport. You're in that area. Tell us personally, what made him so magnetic, the guy in the Hall of Fame?
I met him 20 years ago when I came home from college, and what amazed me was that before Kirk Franklin, before Yolanda Adams, before we sold out venues, this guy was putting 1,500 to 2,000 people in a venue in Bridgeport. Before it was heard of. Now, you bring Kirk Franklin, that can happen. But in the 1990s, 91, that was unheard of. And I remember going to the Bridgeport Post and demanding that they cover him. Because he was underplayed in the community. And someone to me said it today best. They said he was the guy who was just... He gave you a platform as an artist that others didn't give you. He was the guy who was a father to many, a godfather to people like myself. Anytime you had a problem, you could go to him. I wasn't best friends with him, but he was somebody in the community that you looked up to as a leader.
So to draw 15,000 for gospel in Bridgeport around the country, what's the secret there? Bringing out new artists, giving them their platform? How do you draw that many people?
Well, I think it's his credibility. I think he built a successful church, a daycare, other ministries around it. His son, Kenneth Bishop Designate, I should say, Kenneth Moles Jr. Is going to take over probably now and really take the church to an even higher level.
At Prayer Tabernacle in Bridgeport,
Prayer
right?
Tabernacle, we call it the cathedral, but Prayer Tabernacle, and I'm just amazed. The funeral, tonight is a concert, and then the funeral is Monday morning. They're going to have some things at the Harbor Yard, some things at the church, and people are coming in from all over the world for this funeral and for this celebration.
But a major player in gospel, and again, roots right here in Connecticut, right here in Bridgeport, right?
He walked with kings and never lost a common touch.
All right. Speaking of kings, you have Atlanta, Georgia, Eddie Long, another giant in the religious circle right now. 25,000 membership church in trouble. A guy who's preached strongly about same-sex or about marriage being solely for man and woman, about valuing the concept of marriage. He's been accused now by three young people, of child molestation. It's rocking that church, 25,000 strong. He's a major figure. What's the fallout now? We tape Wednesday. This thing is still evolving. Where does it go?
Well, he's at his press conference, and I was highly against issuing too many statements. I think where it goes from here is they've got to resolve this. He cannot let this get to trial. He cannot. I mean, you can look at Ted Haggard, you can look at all the other issues, and I'm not saying he did any of these allegations of negligence and emotional distress or sexually violating the young men, but he has to resolve this. And I want to point out, we advise a number of high-profile clients, and one of the things you tell them is you can't hang around with a lot of young kids. You can't take trips with them. And if you read the complaint is that he's taking these young boys all over the world.
Right.
And, they're saying he's doing all kind of things to them. So you tell clients, don't hang with young boys. Don't commingle, don't sign on things, don't buy things, don't have people over to your house. keep it very out in the open. If you travel, bring your wife, bring your son, bring your daughter, somebody with you. And I think the caution here that we have to take from it is, did he put himself in this position of this kind of, if it's true, it's wrong. If it's not true, it's still a shakedown.
But
and he may still have to pay.
If you don't resolve it, though, if he does settle, then the whispers stay. All right, he's trying to keep it quiet.
Right.
If he goes to trial, he's exposed. Let's just say he's innocent, right? And if he says, listen, walk, I'm innocent, I want to take it to trial, what's wrong with that approach?
Oh, what's wrong with that approach is it puts his whole life on display. The Bentleys, the big house, the millions of dollars. You know, it opens up the Pandora's box.
But he hasn't had other allegations, I know of, at least of child molestation. So even though if he's lived large and lived extravagantly, doesn't mean that he messed with kids, right?
You ever hear the saying, perception becomes reality? If he goes on trial and these young men line up behind him, we in the legal community, we say drip, 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 meaning another case will come, others will pop out. It's very similar to Michael Jackson when all the boys started coming out of woodwork. It's similar to that, and you advise him, get this thing settled. You have insurance, you have your own money. The church has insurance. Remember, they named 3 parties. They named him, the church, and the academy that they have. These young boys said they came through the academy.
A lot of folks exposed.
So
what about this now? These young boys also took the extraordinary step to say, you know what, we'll use our names. Normally in a case like this, they shelter the victims' names, the alleged victims, just from protocol. They're saying, you know what, we feel so strongly, we want our names published, and they've agreed to have their names published in the paper. That's got to be problematic if you're the defense team.
That's very problematic if you're the defense team. And what's also problematic is B.J. Bernstein, the attorney representing them, she's credible. She wins these kind of cases. She's not looking for fame here. She's someone who has actually done cases like this and is very good at it and very respected in Atlanta.
How about from a faith standpoint, if indeed, even if it's not true, you have a 25,000 membership church, a $50 million building, that church is home to celebrities, politicians, a very powerful person. Does that rock people's faith in their faith when someone as esteemed like that is accused of something as troubling like this?
It totally rocks everyone's faith, and we live in a 24-hour news cycle, as you know. It's instant now. The news is on you all day with Twitter and MySpace and Facebook. That's why you tell clients like that, if you don't want to rock the church or rock your setup, you cannot do those 4 or 5 things that I named. Be around a lot of young kids, do private sessions with women if you're a male pastor. You can't sign off on buildings. You can't take trips with kids. And you definitely can't get into buying businesses together with the church. It's all a nightmare.
You got to keep an arm's length that has some layers between you, right? Because you're exposed.
The thing is, you have to see yourself as a pastor, but you have to understand that they see you as a celebrity pastor. And when I say they, I mean those out there. So if they see you as a celebrity, there's always a risk that you're going to be exposed to some kind of shakedown or lawsuit or, public humiliation. So you have to operate with some kind of guard around you. If not, you got in a complaint, he took trips with these kids.
Right.
Even if he proves that he never did anything wrong, the mere fact that you're out in New Zealand with young kids or the Caicos Islands or all these other places that are alleged in the lawsuit, it's just bad. It's just very bad. It's just poor judgment for a senior pastor if it's true. We don't know if it's true, but if it is true, it's just not good for him.
So 2 major stories rocking the religious world: 1, the mourning of a prominent bishop, and 2, the troubling allegations of a very prominent bishop in Georgia. So,
very prominent, top 5, probably well known in the country.
All right, we're going to come back with more of our Walk Talk. Our entertainment attorney, James Walker, will talk about J-Lo going to American Idol and other stuff going on. Floyd Mayweather in trouble. Don't go away. You're watching The Stan Simpson Show.